Well, that's an interesting question to apply to where I was in the advertising business. Um, it was a very, very funny mixed bag because you knew that certain things that you did were right bang on for the client. And it was either the client couldn't see it or other people in the agency got in the way. I would say that at least half of my job as a creative director in an agency is selling. I would create it, and then my job was to go and sell it to the client. If the client wasn't buying, then what I thought, and maybe other people thought was really good creative, would go out the window. So your question about principle, what's the principle of creating art or creating anything? As far as that industry is concerned, I've seen so many good ideas go out the window because somebody either hasn't got the guts, the knowledge, or the taste to buy it. And that is probably the most frustrating thing for a creative person. Whether they're in the agency business or whether it doesn't matter. Any creative person is going to run up against that sort of thing. Frustrating, aggravating, to the point where you would just want to go and either just say, oh, take your job and do whatever you will with it, or quit or whatever, but you persevere and you become a bit of a prostitute. You think, well, the job has to be done. It ain't my money. And if he wants to spend his money, his company's money on this crap, okay. But I don't like doing it. Because my principles say you're doing the wrong thing. But there's nobody to talk to. There's nobody listening. And eventually you just say, okay, it's his money. He'll do what he thinks is best with it. And that has been going on for 100 years. It's going on today. I mean, there are some creative people out there that, God, they're amazing. And I'm sure they're running into the same frustrations. It's more frustrating, actually, in a place like Vancouver, as advanced as we are. Vancouver is still a branch office town. Whether we like it or lump it, it's a branch office town. Toronto is a head office town. Consequently, the people you find in the industry in Toronto are of a higher caliber. I have actually seen people end up as advertising managers, and I kid you not, who were in the mail room of whatever company it happened to be the week before. All of a sudden, they're advertising managers. But that doesn't happen in a head office town. So you end up talking to people who shouldn't even be in the position to make a decision about creative as to whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. If the person who has created it isn't a good salesperson, you're really in trouble. Because I was blessed. I must tell you, I was absolutely blessed. It was, to the average advertising person, it would be like dying and going to heaven. I worked on an account where they said, okay, you're the expert. Why do you want my opinion on this thing? I like it, do it. What? And I used to say to the, what was he, the head of public affairs? I'd say, okay, we're going to be shooting on such and such a day at such and such a place. Will you be there? He said, why would I? He said, you know what I want? He said, if you don't give it to me, and he was very rude, very vulgar. He said, you bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. because he said, that's up to you to make it work. And thank God I was able to do that 9 out of 10 times. But I was blessed, as I say, because this man gave me, I wouldn't say carte blanche, but damn close to it. So it was great. It was great. It made my career almost worthwhile. We did a lot of good things because it wasn't all about selling soap flakes or soup or whatever it was. It was corporate. And so consequently, it wasn't just a matter, I'll tell you, it was for Petro-Canada. And it wasn't a matter of selling gas and oil. It was establishing, in those days, the fact that Petro-Canada was a part of the Canadian fabric. That sounds a little highfalutin, but it's true. So consequently, we would be involved in things like amateur sport, the Olympic flame thing. I mean, people would kill to have that sort of opportunity. So that sort of thing. I mean, I did stuff on amateur soccer. I did stuff on amateur baseball. I did stuff on synchronized swimming. You name it, and we were involved because Petro-Canada was involved. They were putting money in. I did a commercial on the Blue Nose because, our famous schooner, and that was because Petro-Canada was putting money into the restoration of the Blue Nose, which was falling apart. I did a commercial about the Haida. And that was one, no, I didn't do a commercial. That was a commercial I wanted to do. And they bought it. But when we ended up with the Haidas up on Haida Gwaii, they have a thing up there which is sort of like the Mexican mañana. And they have their own version of that. And so it kept on, well, we're not sure, we have to run it against all the hereditary chiefs and all that sort of thing. So we'd say, okay, well, we'll see you. And we'd go home. We'd go back to Toronto. And then they'd say, okay, we're ready to talk again. So back out to the West Coast and up to the Haida Gwaii. And they finally said to us, okay, well, yeah, we think that maybe we can do this. And I said, you know what? You missed your chance. I said, the weather is not going to cooperate. This was in November. Have you ever been to Haida Gwaii in November? It's like, forget it. And I said, no, we can't do it now. We'll have to wait until spring. And even they said, oh my God, I guess we sort of screwed up, didn't we? And I said, well, your timing wasn't the greatest. We never, ever got to shoot that commercial. And I still think back on it and I think, man, if you'd done that, you would have won the Academy Award or the advertising version of it. Oh, it would have been beautiful. Yeah, I could see that thing so clearly.